So today's episode is about consistency dilemmas, and this is a situation that we all face every single day. I face this, you face this, we all face this. It's something that we struggle with and don't know sometimes what to do. So my question to you, how the hell do we overcome inconsistencies and stay consistent?
I think it kind of depends. You know what I mean? There's some things that you're just born being consistent with. You know what I mean? And then there's some things that you can't do. You find yourself just starting and stopping and starting and stopping. It's normal. All of us have areas that we're really good at and areas that we're not good at, different personalities. So it can be something as simple as your parents raised you a certain way to be consistent with this, and you were, or your parents didn't, and you didn't become consistent. So I guess the question is like, where does it show up in your life? Where were the easiest places that you found yourself to be consistent? And then where are the areas that you fall short? I think the first thing to do is to realize that there's more than one of us, right? There's the person that wants to, and then there's the person that doesn't do it, right? So it's called the intention behavior gap, like in research. And so my whole research was built around how do you bridge the gap between what you intend to do and what you actually do. And the best way to describe that is who's the person that sets the alarm at night, right? That's the person with the intention. I'm going to wake up at this time. And who's the person that hits snooze in the morning? You can say it's you for both, but the truth is, it's not. There are two different people, two different personalities that are showing up, and they are conflicting with each other. You know what I mean? So it's kind of understanding what is the battle between each and whose evidence is stronger at the moment where the behavior needs to happen, right? So the inconsistency battle is what are the conversations that are happening in your mind? So has anybody dealt with that? Hitting snooze, like I remember you talking about working out. I mean, not working out. You getting up early in the morning. I remember you were talking about getting up early in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. So tell me about that.
Seriously. So for the past 4 years of my life, I have been trying to get up 4 in the morning to start my day, because I've been hearing, starting your day in the morning, early in the day is the best way to start your day with all your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, gives you clarity. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get up in the morning, starting from the new year. Never worked. And exactly like you said, I put the alarm. I wake up in the morning, and I would always convince myself, Ali, you went to bed at midnight. You didn't have enough sleep. Go back to sleep. You need 8 hours of sleep. I'm like, dude, you're right. Wake up. God damn it. Then eventually it became more of a process.
Right.
Then I stopped doing it. You know what? Forget it. I can't do it. And I gave up.
This is awesome, man. This is the process that we all go through. We all go through this, right? We start off excited, and they call it uninformed optimism. You're uninformed, and you're completely optimistic about it. This is New Year's, day one. Everybody's like, I'm going to lose this much weight. Everybody set their goals. Then you become an informed pessimist. This is harder than I thought it was. I'm sore. I'm sore, but I'm not losing the weight as quickly as I want to. So you're an informed pessimist. Then you reach this point of crisis meaning. Oh, people are losing weight. I'm not. And then all of a sudden, your fears about who you are, I never can be consistent with anything. You talk yourself out of it and you crash and burn. It's actually how quickly can I get to crash and burn so I stop feeling guilty about not doing what I intended to do, or not getting a result from trying. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a really tricky thing because we have this process of really wanting to do something. But then when the moment strikes, we don't. And so the issue is, how do you improve the communication between you setting the alarm and you hitting snooze? Between our past self with the intention to be consistent and our present self who has no attachment to the desire to be consistent because right now it's tired. Right now it doesn't want to work.
How do we improve it?
How do we improve it? How do you improve oh, is that the question?
Yes.
How do you improve the conversation? I think the first thing is to understand that it's two people. I think the way that we trick ourselves is we think it's us, right? I'm the one that set the alarm and I hit snooze. All of a sudden, I'm a bad person. I identify with the mistake. And because I'm a bad person, I get down on myself. I self-deprecate. I'm the problem, right? And as soon as I'm the problem, I build upon my core belief of not being able to be consistent. And it's like, what the hell? I might as well give up, right? So if you're not communicating and realizing that, hey, we're not the same people. There's my past me and there's my present me. And I need to talk to past Burkay and see like, why are we not communicating right? Because we're not clear on the goal. The goal of past Burkay is to get up early. The goal of present Burkay is to sleep because he's tired. That means we're impulsive based on our emotions, and we have no relationship between our past self and our present self, right? So building that conversation is first separating the self, and then asking, why do I want to wake up early? Then getting clear on the benefits of waking up early. And then the morning self who hits snooze, you ask him, what were the costs of sleeping in? What did I lose? And then you have these kind of two realities of what I could have gained and what I did lose. And then when you look at that, you start to realize, I can't trust morning bouquet because the cost is too great. But when we don't know what the cost is, we're just like, damn it, it's just my fault. I failed. We don't realize that what the failure cost repercussions are, how it echoes throughout the rest of your day. And then when you try it where you do wake up, all of a sudden you're like, holy hell, I got so much more done, right? So it's that conversation between the two of yourselves. I think that's the start. Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a great point, yes.
I recently just overcame this struggle,
Right.
you know, of that between the two.
Right.
I didn't think of it in that way, but I kind of almost threw in the towel. Like anytime I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh man, it's too early, I didn't sleep enough, you can rest. And I wake up in the morning pissed off. I'm like, damn it, I missed it. But then what I started to do was the Ali in the night, before he set the alarm,
Yeah.
I said, I have to sleep early because I have to get up in the morning. If I don't sleep at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the night, I am not going to get up in the morning. I have to. I discipline myself and force myself to put the alarm, put the phone down, turn it off consistently, and go to bed. For the whole 3 weeks, I've been doing that. And my mind just like, boom, 4 in the morning, I wake up.
Perfect.
Start the day.
And adding on to that as well, I think a way to stay consistent is just do it for one day. Wake up early for one day, or do whatever you wanted to do for one day, and write about how you felt after that day. So that way you can look over the notes and be like, okay, cool, I felt amazing. That way you can do it again the next day, and the next day write about how you feel as well.
Right.
That's what helped me.
That's huge, man. One of the biggest kind of eye-openers for me was when I was at Cal, I made this Excel sheet, actually a form, right? And I would fill out the form and say, what time did you intend to wake up? What time did you actually wake up? Did you eat your food? Was it healthy? Grade it 1 to 5. Did you exercise? How hard did you push? 1 to 5. Very simple metrics, right? Did it all the way down. And that would actually transfer to an Excel sheet where everything that I had a good answer, right? If it was I ate really healthy, it was a 5, it would go green. Anything that was in the middle would go yellow. Anything that was bad would go red. So it was just all you had were these colors of red, green, and yellow. And so one of the questions that it asked was, did you meditate? And it also, did you wake up at the time that you wanted to? What I did was I actually started to sort my days based on the days that I woke up early. And what I noticed was that the days that I woke up early, more green happened throughout the rest of my day. I did this for 40 days. So more green showed out between the rest of my day. I'm like, dang. And the days that I didn't wake up on the time that I wanted to, it was yellow, yellow, red, green, like, you know what I mean? It was just like the colors were all messed up. So I realized waking up early was one of the most important habit changes that I needed to incorporate into my life for the most leverage and change in the way that I lived. The second most cool thing was the days that I didn't wake up early, if I meditated, it almost reset myself. So if I didn't wake up early, but then I meditated, the green goes up. So I realized the two most valuable behavior changes that I need to focus on is waking up early and meditating. And one of my best, most consistent areas in my life is meditation. Because I see the value of it. It ties exactly to what you're talking about. You saw that there was huge value. The day that I did this, I felt this way. And then you compound that feeling like, dang, every time I do it, I feel this way. So what happens is you build enough evidence as to why this is valuable to change. Because if you don't see value in it, even if you know it's valuable,
Yes.
if you don't see value in it, game over. Doesn't happen. And that's exactly what you did. You got to the place where you're like, I have to, because I'm going to kill myself if I don't. But what's interesting about your process is your conversation was, it's not about waking up early. It's about going to bed. You know what I mean? And so let's pull that out and see if we can extrapolate that and see how that ties to consistency in all areas of our lives, right? So kind of like my mind is almost thinking like, okay, where are areas that we're not consistent as well? Like exercise, right? What actions could you take to get yourself to exercise more?
I think I'm an excellent candidate for this.
Go ahead.
I literally am going through this right now. I think some habits to kind of just get started is kind of like what we do in the program. and kind of just some tips that you told me about is just start small.
Right.
Lower the bar as much as you can. If your habit you want to go to the gym and work out, just go to the gym.
Right.
That's what I did. I went to the gym and I just sat in the sauna, and then I went home, and then I kept doing that over and over again until the day I was just like, you know what, today I'm going to work out, and I worked out. And the days that I didn't feel like working out, I did the same thing. I just went and sat in the sauna.
Beautiful, man. That's exactly, it's these baby steps.
Yeah.
And it's more important to say that I'm going to go to the gym than to say I'm going to go to the gym and burn 1,000 calories. You see what I'm saying? Because you're setting the bar too high, right? You just showing up to the gym, check. Did you burn calories? I mean, maybe just sitting in the sauna, but it didn't do anything that'll truly help you physically. But the power was you understood that it was a psychological change that needed to happen first. That basic, small level of consistency. To say, I'm going to do this, and then do it. That's what builds the strength. Consistency is like a thread. And it's a thread that sews your past self to your present self to your future self. Most of us unconsciously live separated from our past selves and from our future selves. But when you're consistent, you're tying actions from the past to actions of the present to lay up actions of the future. And that's when you truly empower yourself to be your whole self. Because you're not living only in the moment. You're living in the moment, cognizant of the past moments, and aware of the coming moments. And that's when you're actually living for your entire self. Almost imagine yourself in 3D from time beginning to time end. And you are doing something that's building value towards all of yous, as opposed to hitting snooze that only builds you right now. But when you wake up, that builds you, builds your future, builds your confidence, and it builds your kind of future past, if that makes sense.
So insane, bro.
That's perfect.
Exactly
Right?
on point, dude.
That's perfect.
It's exactly on point because those days I wake up and I wouldn't sleep all day, bro.
Right.
4:45, I'm up till 9 o'clock at night. Did not sleep for once, and my mind was like laser focused. Everything just made sense, and it was like, holy crap, I was missing this all this time, dude. And then that consistency bug comes in.
What are some other benefits that you saw from being consistent of waking up?
Dude, I mean, you start seeing all the inconsistencies in your life. You go, if I wake up early in the morning and I'm consistent with just this, what other things in my life can I fix that are inconsistent?
Wow.
Extrapolating, man. That was beautiful.
Right? Like, seriously, guys, like, talk about it. Like, am I inconsistent with, like, my eating habits, inconsistent with, like, my relationship with my mom and dad, brothers and sisters, friends, inconsistent managing my finances. Guys, it's a trickle-down effect for all of us.
Right.
Wow.
And it starts with the morning. Wake up early in the morning.
That's what's so cool about it, because when you leverage it, it's like a keystone habit. There's a book called The Power of Now, and it talks about the keystone habit. Because it may be, for you, exercise. For you, waking up in the morning, right? For me, it's reading a chapter a day. Who cares? It doesn't matter what it is. It's just that you start doing something consistently. Because what I say is the most important thing is not what you're doing, it's the mechanism of consistency. Because if you have the mechanism of consistency, that mechanism can be pulled out and placed somewhere else in your life. I want you to value the mechanism of consistency more so than what you're consistent about. Right? Because if you do that, you're empowering yourself to be consistent. And that's why what you did, just going to the gym, is where your power's at. You went to the gym, that's your power. You're like, I'm just going to show up. I remember you sent me a picture. It was just you, and you were in flip-flops, bro. You had your sandals on, right, at the gym.
Yep.
But it was, what did I say? That was the strongest I've ever seen you.
Yes.
Because you did what you said you were going to do.
Yes.
You didn't bench press anything.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's where the power is.
And it gives you more confidence as
Right.
well, because you're just like you said with the mechanism. It's like you're doing what you said you were doing, which just bleeds in all other areas of your life, and you gain so much respect for yourself.
Right.
And you're just like, okay, cool, I did that. Just like you said as well. What else can I do?
So real, man. The thing that you said is the key to consistency. Respecting yourself. Because when we're inconsistent, we're disrespecting ourselves. And there's two types of disrespecting that are happening. One is that you intended to do something and didn't, so you disrespected yourself. The second is the way you beat yourself up after it.
Oh my God.
Right? That's when you're disrespecting yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's the most dangerous one, because that's the one that puts you in that crisis of meaning and you fall out. That's when you're dead. So the thing is, if you just start to be mad at the fact that you disrespected yourself by being inconsistent and not keeping your word, but then don't beat yourself up from there, you're powered. You're empowered. Right? That's where everything's at. So that integrity is everything. It's
It
the
is.
integrity of saying, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to drive by the gym. What I call it is Nike Light. It's not just do it, it's just kind of do it. Just kind of do what gets you there. Because if I say I'm going to go to the gym, I'm already at the gym, I'm like, I'll lift a little bit. Then I'm like, okay, now I'm lifting a little bit. Man, I'm going to push a little bit. Okay, I'm sweating, I feel kind of good. I'm gonna take it all the way. You see what I'm saying? Is by just kind of doing, putting yourself in a position. I used to have clients who, when they were, when I was doing training, they said, I'm sick, I'm not going to come to the gym today. I go, nope, just come and say hi to everybody. They had to come and say hi to everybody, then go home. Psychologically, their mind can't tell the difference between them being at the gym and working out or them being at the gym. So what ultimately happens is they were at the gym 3 days a week, even if one of those days they just came and said hi. But the mind has no clue about it. The mind said, I was there. And it gives them that string of consistency. And it's a compound effect. Every time that you do what you say you're going to do, you get bigger, stronger, faster. And if it becomes a part of who you are and you know that your word is everything, it's game over. And that's all we care about. I don't even really care about your fitness goals. I don't care about your business goals, your mindset goals. I want you to see that you are capable of doing what you say you're going to do. And when you do that, anything's possible. Because your mechanism's right. That's the muscle that I care about. You know what I mean? Not what you attach it to.
Also, something that really helped me out was just not talking about it. Because what I did was I would tell people, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to the gym today. And in my mind, I already convinced myself that I'm gonna go to the gym. And it just really helped me out when I stopped talking about it.
Right.
And I just did it.
Yeah. There's something powerful about just doing it too, because that takes away the emotion behind it. Right?
Yes.
The way that I explain it is like when you're in the at the beach, right? And you're right after the waves crash. How am I going to explain this? The waves crash behind you. So the swell comes, passes you, and then the waves crash. When the swell comes, it lifts you up and then puts you right back down exactly where you were. That's what happens when the swell comes. It's just energy. The water stays the same. There's no movement. But unless you start swimming with that swell, then you catch that energy. Then that energy pulls you in towards shore, and that's when you get to ride the wave. Most of us are waiting for motivation. But if we're not swimming, if we're not just doing it, right? If we're not just doing what needs to be done before the emotion, before the motivation comes, you're not going to catch the wave. Motivation is something that just kind of comes after you've already started swimming. I'm not going to say, hey, light the fire, then I'll put the wood in. You got to put the wood in. Then the fire comes. At the same time, you're empowering yourself to act despite the feeling. Because when you can act despite the feeling, then you actually are in control of your life. Just because you do something because it feels good and you're motivated, that means that you are literally a slave to motivation. You're a slave to inspiration. That is not consistency. That is a circumstance, right? And what we want to do is empower people to let go of circumstances, to create their own, by swimming before the wave gets to them. That's when you catch it. That's when you get to land. That's when you get to live your life.
Damn.
So now that you're going to the gym more consistently, what does it feel like?
It feels good, it feels empowering, and it feels like I'm getting stronger mentally.
Right. Interesting. Okay, how so?
Because I'm holding true to my word, and I'm not relying on the feeling. So me not relying on the feeling, I've already grown up. I've already evolved. Just me not relying on the feeling.
The drug's gone.
Yes.
We're on YouTube all the time looking at motivational videos. I'm not saying they're bad, I'm not knocking them. But if that's what you're going after, then you're chasing a feeling. And if you're chasing a feeling, you're not chasing life. Right? So you being able to just go and just do it. You're seeing yourself say, I intend to do this thing, and I'm going to do it. Then you do it, and you're like, look, I did it. The power of that is just so insane. Do you find that as you build that consistency of doing it without the emotion, does the emotion travel and catch up with you? Wherever you are right now, because it may not be there now.
Catch up to me how?
Where you're like, I'm excited about this now.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's multiplying every time I go to the gym.
Right.
And it's still there. It's there in my body. I'm excited about it, but I'm just trying not to let it consume me.
Right. I love this. Okay, we're going to go a little deep. Why are you trying not to let it consume you? This is awesome, man. I know what you're saying.
Because if I let it consume me, then I go back to old habits. I go back to my cycle.
You're high.
Yes.
Wow.
I go back to the drug.
Right. So you're withholding, not consciously, overwhelmingly withholding, but you're keeping yourself focused on the importance of keeping your word more than the high of going to the gym.
Yes.
Because you know that that's fleeting to a certain extent.
Yes.
Big ups.
Thanks, man.
Big ups on that, man. Very few people understand what they think, and this is why programs sell so much, because they sell emotions, right? When you sell emotions, and I take a loss for this, because I'm not selling you an emotion. I'm selling you work to change your life, for real, right? So I have to forego the sensationalism, because I do want you to change. I want to become obsolete. If I need you to be addicted to me, then I will give you that emotion. You'll come down the mountain and be like, oh my God. I don't want that. If it happens, great. But as soon as it does, I shake you and I say, stay with me, right? You're going to have to go through this without emotions too. That's the power. When I said uninformed optimism, the crisis of meaning is the most important part of change. That's where I change people. My program prepares them for failure so that they can experience failure and then climb out of it, because that's more important than empowering them in the beginning. It's how do you face failure and grow. One of my clients right now is about to do a bodybuilding competition. His mind has changed more than his body has. His body has changed insanely. He went from like 20%, he's at 6.7%.
Wow.
Literally just got back to hydrostatic form. The cool thing is he's like, dude, you know what's crazy? He's like, I love myself. He's like, I have never loved myself like this. And he is in love with who he is, on top of the body that he wants, right? And he's in this space now where he has learned to love himself. But there was a period in time where he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do with nutrition. He went and traveled and ate horribly. And that was his failure. And he had two choices. I collapse on myself, or I learn to pick myself up. It doesn't mean it's the end, right?
Yes.
I lost the battle, I didn't lose the war. He was able to pull himself back up. Now he knows how to pull himself back up. Get this. This last week, he's struggling with thoughts before the competition, and he pulls out the tools from our program,
Wow.
and he starts combating his own thoughts and takes a picture of it and sends it to me. I talked to him today after he gets his hydrostatic. He is ecstatic. He's going crazy.
Wow.
And he's like, bro, he's like, dude, thank you so much. I'm like, bro, you're physically the one that's doing it. He's like, thank you. He goes, when I was stressing out, I started combating my thoughts the way that we did it before. He's like, normally I would have given up and I would have went to In-N-Out, but I didn't. That was all him.
Damn.
Yeah.
He has learned the power of consistency by allowing himself to fail and get back up. Consistency is not perfect consistency. Consistency is more so this.
Yes.
That's consistency. And if you can get good at getting back up, the faster you are getting back up from falling short, that's consistency. It's not being perfect. It's how quickly can you get back up.
Yes. It's not giving up, and it's not letting the thoughts consume you.
Absolutely.
Because this week, I didn't go to the gym on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to go to the gym on Saturday, but it's like just not giving up
Right.
is literally what consistency is, and it's what got me to go to the gym on Saturday.
Bingo.
That's it.
It's the second day that proves where we are.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because when you fall short, you fall short.
Yes.
But if you then tell a story that I suck, I knew I couldn't do it, you collapse on yourself, right? Then you've given yourself the anesthetized version of how you can show up the next day.
Dude.
You've literally numbed yourself enough to say, I am a failure. And you're beating yourself up, which makes you feel good because you feel like you deserve it. But secretly, inside that punch is the knockout punch so you don't have to do it tomorrow.
Why are we afraid of consistency? Why are we afraid of that? The feeling of failing, right? You just talked about it right now. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, like what happened to me if I miss 1 or 2 days? I'll beat myself up. I'll be like, and if I don't do enough days, I let it go.
Right.
And I label myself failure.
I think people are afraid of it because of two reasons. I think one, they're afraid of the person they can become
Okay.
because it's scary.
Okay.
It's like, okay, if I go to the gym every day, or if I go to the gym consistently and I don't give up, I'm going to become a different person. And I don't think people want to become different people. They want to become better, but I don't think they want to become this new person because they just want to stay the same. Does that make sense?
I think that they want to become new people without losing their old people.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
People are like, I want to change. You're like, okay, great. Change. They're like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just want to switch. They don't want to go through the process of it, right? There's something interesting about consistency that's terrifying, though, too, is that this belief of consistency, if you look at it, it's like looking at yourself in between two mirrors. There's like millions of you. And you're like, oh, overwhelmed. Okay, yeah, I got up at 4:45, 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
What about 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 20 weeks, 30 weeks, 100 weeks? Rest of my life?
Yeah.
What happens is people start to live into the future of it. And this is the perfect way to shoot yourself in the foot. And it's a perfect way to quit now because you're like, okay, well, but I'm going to fail ultimately. I can't do it forever, so I might as well fail now.
Damn.
Right? But the truth is that who are you? I'll tell you who you are. You're you now. Future Burkay can deal with that. Get off it. Don't deal with his business. Present Burkay, focus on what present Burkay has to focus on. That's where it's at. But people are so busy looking into the future that they get caught up with this impossible thing to look at. I had a client. This was, man, I'm pulling out a lot of light by clients because it's so physical. Back when I was doing personal training, right? Where they looked at it and she lost 2 pounds, but she had 100 to go. The 2 pounds was more painful than when she hadn't lost anything and she started the program. Because after 2 pounds, she knows what 2 pounds of weight being lost feels like, how much work you have to do. So then she imagined that and times it by the rest of the weight, and she just got freaked out. And we're like, stay where you are. Stay where you are. My own clients, like when I'm doing the psychological stuff, as soon as they have this epiphany of their core belief about who they are, and they're like, wow, I need to change that. As soon as they realize that their core belief about them not being enough isn't true, they get excited because they realize it's not true, and they're like, and then they're like, how do I change it? Because they immediately start looking into the future. And I'm like, I'm like, hit the brake on this. You saw it. Now that you saw it, you've separated yourself from it. Let's celebrate that. Chill on that for a little bit. Then we'll start to make movements, your future you, we'll start to make movements towards changing it. It's not yours to gather all that information for the future self. The future self will handle it. Your job is to lay it up for him as best you can, right? It's a powerful thing, dude. The consistency, I think it's really us tying ourselves to the future that makes us afraid of it. I think it's also the fact that they have to change. They're terrified of changing. Because when you change, you have to be something else.
What are some techniques that someone who struggle with consistency,
Yeah.
what are some techniques that they can do to slowly help them become more consistent and more aware of that? What are some techniques, some ways that, you know what, they can be, you know, on top of it so they can eventually, you know, make it a habit and they're consistent with working out or reading a book every single day for an hour? What are some techniques that you can recommend that can help?
I think for me, it's just what helped me out a lot was just literally repeating to myself, waking up every day and repeating, I'm just going to take on today. That's it. Kind of like tying into what you said earlier. I'm just going to take on today. Whatever happens today, I'll deal with it. And then not even thinking about tomorrow. Because once you start thinking about tomorrow, that's when stuff just hits the fan. So that's one technique that helped me out. Another technique is just not relying on the feeling. Just forget about your feelings, just for the short term. The feelings will catch up to you. But just for the short term, just don't even think about it.
I think that's great.
Just do it.
That's great. I think another thing is kind of what you said earlier as well. It's the starting small. Too many people set goals that are too big. And they have to understand that the goal is not to set a goal. The goal is to set consistency to achieve the goal. Like, does that make sense? It's the underbelly of the goal. It's the mechanism for the goal. So when you say that you want to do A, B, or C and it's too big, I want to go work out 6 days a week, or I want to combat all my negative thoughts. No, all you want to do is just level one, I just want to notice my negative thoughts. That's it. Notice it and write it down. That's it. Even if you feel crappy still, just notice it and write it down and celebrate the hell out of it. If you get good at celebrating these small successes, these small abilities to just do this one thing, lowest hanging fruit, you're going to start to build upon that compoundly. The goal is to start small. Whatever goal you think you have, take it back 6 steps. Take it back 6 steps. 8 steps. 10 steps. Make it the simplest things. I want to do 1 push-up. Do you know how I do my push-ups? This is hilarious. Right now I think I'm at like 67 push-ups. I start off at 30, and then I just add 1 per day. 1 per day. So obviously I've done it for over 30 days. You see what I'm saying? Like, all I care about is just doing that 1 more push-up.
Wow.
And it's not even about like, oh, I want to get my chest big. It's not, this is what I'm trying to do is build that mechanism of consistency. Because what's happening is I'm teaching myself, do you know how many times I've not wanted to do it? But because I've taught myself that I just have to do 1 more than before, it's small enough for me to be like, I can do this. And if I went from 30 to 67, I probably would have just stopped. If I just tried to start at what I knew I could do, I'd stop because my mom would think it's too big. But I'm just building the consistency more so than the 67. are the ones. That's what matters. Focus on the ones. When I have like clients doing exercises, I say you're not doing 15 reps. You're doing 1 rep 15 times. So when you count 1. 1. Because all your energy is on focusing on 1, not getting to 15. Because people start to speed up when they get to 15. Like 30, 15, right? But when it's just 1, you're present. That's the power of change. That's how you get consistent. Just like you said. Don't worry about the one after the next. Just this one. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, make it simple. Because if it's simple, you won't have that mind that's going to say you can't do it. Make it stupid simple, and then when it happens, invite your friends over. Celebrate it. Celebrate it like it's the biggest thing in the world, because secretly it is. Every big thing starts from little pieces. And if you try to go for the big piece, you can't chew it. You can't swallow it. It's not strong enough. You're not strong enough. Keep it simple.
Wow.
Beautiful. What was your takeaway, Ollie?
Dude, man, so many amazing things today. My biggest takeaway today was learning about how consistency is all about respect for yourself. And it just changes everything. It's like, gosh, I respect myself. I love myself. How could I disrespect myself and not keep my word and be inconsistent? I mean, it just makes you change the whole relationship. I'm like, you know what? From now on, anything and everything I do with the best of my ability is being consistent with everything. And taking the mechanism, as you mentioned, and applying it to different parts of my life. If I can wake up in the morning now, early in the morning, I'm going to have some fallouts. But being consistent and keeping that state of mind is the best way to go.
That does it for today, you guys. We covered a lot of great topics, a lot of great questions about consistency. We hope it helped you guys. If you guys have any questions or just want to share with us about what you're consistent about or maybe what you're struggling with, and we hope to see you guys next time on the Let's Talk About Life podcast.